there is new content in the game right now. Do we have any swipers in chat? Any swipies? So we're going to talk about the new store items. Yum, yum, yum. Right, which is itself an interesting topic because I was joking about like, oh, the teats are still over the bucket. That's milk harder. And that's kind of what's going on in a way.
Yeah.
The cadence of, bing, bing, wahoo, money for Bobby has certainly increased lately. And I suppose if we were to do a recap of that, WoW store. Can I have a WoW store, please? Fantastic. Hope you're all ready for a nice Black Friday deal.
Oh, yeah, before we go any further, I mean...
Slurp, slurp, slurp.
Yeah, I know Decor goes in on this pretty hard, but... as soon as you open the Battle.net launcher, it is just a full screen. You cannot continue until you dismiss this pop-up. Buy now! It's Black Friday, 100 whatever sale. Go for it. And it was... it's the kind of thing where... Talked about it before when it comes to, like, Hearthstone. And if you haven't logged into Hearthstone, it shows you everything you could possibly buy, basically, before you actually get into the game. And it just feels so like, no, fuck you, here's the shop, here's the store. Very marketing advertisement first versus actual like UX design.
Hearthstone is a fucking assault. As soon as if you haven't logged into that game in 6 months, it's an assault. Now it's also a pretty casually, it's a good fun game.
Yeah, of course.
Credit to the developers, like especially like the new Book of Mercenaries content apparently is really great, like truly, truly great, and is totally evocative of Warcraft. But yeah, so I was going to talk about the store stuff. So we just had this mount. Was this last week? Week before?
Time is irrelevant.
Time is very confusing these days.
It was 2 weeks ago, maybe 3.
2 weeks, right. So we had this, and this was just a straight up $25. No, no bundles, no nothing, no 6 month sub, just $25. And then, of course, we had the Sapphire Skyblazer, which, of course, was the 6 month mount, the most recent 6 month mount, right? When did the Skyblazer come out? It was decently recently, anyway.
Yes, question mark.
I think, was that in and around the time of 9.1? Anyway.
It was just before that, I believe.
So we got the Skyblazer. We've got the Furline coming into the game. They have now added 2 more things. And of course, there is the Hearthstone crossover promo mount. There is also the multitude of Hearthstone goodies that you get with the WoW 6 month sub. All of this stuff tells us the situation is basically this. World of Warcraft's got to get revenue up from Blizzard. Right, because the segment revenue of the various different business units of Activision Blizzard, that's something that is always a part of the quarterly earnings calls. I mean, obviously, it's an earnings call from a business. The earnings are important. And if you want to drive those earnings up, well, you're going to be doing things like this. And it is just interesting that the cadence of these have increased at a pretty similar time to, you could say, the cadence of, the cadence of content has somewhat decreased. I suppose another thing they also did is if we go down to the Game Services tab. In the Game Services tab, of course, there's the World of Warcraft boost up to level 60. Yep. And the thing with this boost, right, is they wouldn't do these until usually a decent bit after the launch of the final patch.
Yeah.
I believe that's, if memory serves anyway. So it's just very interesting that they're doing this earlier than normal. Kind of suggests to me that they're almost viewing 9.2 as somewhat of a, where all that Covenant stuff's kind of in the past. Everyone come to the new patch. Instant level 60 for the new patch. Feels like they're kind of doing that. Now that said, it's interesting that the level 50 boost is... I mean, it's not listed in the store. Is it in-game?
I don't think so.
Does the 50 boost still exist? Because it is a bit weird that, there's no way for a boosted person to be at the start of Shadowlands now, which is... I suppose just a funky little quibble.
Well, considering that they, after the last time we were talking, it was a whole bunch of stuff about them removing quests because, it wasn't with experience, but it also means that the actual plot of Shadowlands is missing to players who play now anyway. So I guess they've finally just went, who gives a shit?
I suppose so, yeah. So after, of course, all of that stuff, which, didn't get great player sentiment, mostly because even though the art for all of these things near universally is fantastic, they're driving the monetization harder at a period of time where people aren't maybe as satisfied with some of the in-game rewards, and the amount of content that you're getting for your baseline subscription is at an all-time low. So then, pretty much on the day that we find out that Jim Ryan is sending scathing internal emails That Phil Spencer does the same as head of Xbox and is also, talking about reevaluating aspects of our partnership.
Yeah, which there's actually
could be big.
There is also a very, very fun thing that, while nowhere near confirmed, is an extremely loose rumor. Has been rumored, was brought to my attention. I believe it was Ned Stalker who did so, and also Connell as well. But there's rumor that might actually make Phil Spencer's of Xbox's statement substantially more interesting.
Bigly.
Yep.
Bigly is not a word, but whatever, I used it. Humongously. So on the day that all that's going on, that the staff walkout has happened, there's the calling for Bobby Kotick to be gone, right after the whole, just all of that happens, the Wall Street Journal's reporting. Well, it is time for the Celestial Observers Ensemble for the low, low price of $20. Now, this is, it's interesting. The basic set is fairly simple. However, the complete appearance set features an enthralling Starscape effect. It does. You can see there. Of course, look at this incredible leveling gear. There's a nice little comparison that people are making. That's not leveling gear, that's tier. And it's funny with the new tier set. We'll talk about it later, but the mythic versions generally look really cool and way closer to the concept art. Boy, howdy, the normal and heroic. So the version of the gear that the vast majority of the player base will have access to. Not least because, of course, a fixed 20-person team is very different from the format of normal and heroic raiding, such that I almost see mythic as like a little separate category in a way. Yeah. The type of gear that most people will be able to get is kind of looking like this, and then, this, which has got all of the fancy effects, is just in the store. Now, funny enough, this, I think it was Soul So Breezy who pointed out, this isn't actually a lighting effect. That's actually just a gradient on the actual texture.
Yep, which it sort of looks okay in the world when you're looking at it and, baked in lighting, but if you look at it kind of without the rest of the gear on, it looks grim. But you're buying a transmog set, you're not buying different parts of mix and match. I mean, you can, but that's not how it's sold. So it's like, is it really dodgy and kind of grim? So maybe. Now,
there's another funny thing here on the transmog sets, and I know this ship is kind of sailed.
Yeah.
I know it's kind of sailed, but I do remember whenever they put in the transmog helms, I put the transmog helms in, and they took them out, and they basically said that they were a bit too far. Like, I remember that coming from some official Blizzard communications way back in the day, because those helms came in Cataclysm. So I'm talking way back in the day.
Yeah.
So obviously there has been a policy change regarding this.
Of course.
I wonder why.
Communicated one? Probably not.
Definitely not a communicated one. So not only, though, can you buy this for the low, low price of $20, you can also get... Oh, wait, hang on. This is a good tweet from Jet. I don't mind cool stuff being in the store, but this is a total insult to players when you can't put in that same kind of effort for items in-game that you earn. Now, this is very true. How do you guys have any sense of pride in the work you do, Warcraft devs? Now, this is actually the thing.
Yeah.
I sort of can't say too much, but there's a lot of situations here where the artists are working in this, and they're like, I've just made a cool effect. Look at that. What a great piece of, everyone's very happy about the piece of work that's being made. That artist may not 100% in themselves approve of where that piece of work goes.
Yeah.
The important thing to remember is that's not their fucking call. What happens is they get a task assigned to them. They have to do that task. I can tell you, I know of at least one instance of sort of a similar situation where it's like, yeah, great bit of art. Maybe not 100% on board with the sort of business model side. And that's going to be what it's like, because at the end of the day, developers they don't rule the roost here.
No, I mean,
in a way they do, broad direction and stuff. But the person who's actually going to make this really doesn't rule the roost. And that's just the way that it is. Another tweet, this is a quote tweet of my tweet. Don't think any single solitary person would be upset about any of these items if we had equal items in-game. This is why FF14 store does so well. The in-game mounts / glams are on par with the ones in the store. I mean, look, this is a funny thing, because there's been, for some, this, and I used to sort of have this belief of just like, no. Yeah. If it's in the store, it's in the store. Don't make it be an in-game obtainable thing, because at least then it's in its own little category, and you sort of, there's no way somebody could be a bit confused about, look at the prestige of having that bit of gear, even though it was a bit of swipe gear. I suppose, though, is that the wrong way of looking at it? Is that the more, problem-solving, punitive way of looking at it? Is the better way to look at it maybe the one of what drives the most player satisfaction? And if players are satisfied, they maybe won't like the store, but they'll at least put up with it. And that's the FF14 situation. Do you think that's maybe a bit more on the money for what realistically is going to happen for these big companies? Because he ain't getting the roof of the store, I'm afraid.
Yeah, so the FF14 comparison is interesting because it's just kind of, that's the people are okay with it generally because it's, they're happy enough with the game. There is certainly, it is funny. Obviously, the actual deeper monetization that's enabled by these stores is what you look at and go, well, why are you asking people to pay for more stuff? But then I think it's perfectly fine. It's just, it's all of the, all of the incentives for the developers, and not the developers as in the day-to-day developers, but the developers, the studio, the people who publish it. All of the reason is there for them to completely shit all over players in order to get more money out of them. As opposed to it being the thing of, oh, while you're here, would you like to buy something else that you want? And I think that that's a thing where in FF, people are happier with the store. Obviously, there's some parts of it that feel a little bit egregious, and generally it'd be better if they weren't there. Like the SDS Fenrir having one extra mount speed up until the cap. That's something that if we were in any other game, or if we're in any game, I'd call completely unfair. But people sort of fuck it, whatever. It's not extra mount speed, it's one step up. You're kind of shortcutting a very small thing there. But that is relatively unacceptable. The Lunar Whale's an interesting one because it's so expensive, but it was also at $40-something, but it was also going to be, FanFest ticket. So they kind of went, we're not selling FanFest tickets, but we want to put on a show. We'll make the show free and we'll sell this whale instead. So in that specific scenario, we go, okay, sure, okay, whatever. If they started to add more amounts that were like that and didn't have that excuse, then you'd be, people kind of go, hang on now, you're kind of taking the piss here. But if you look at it like League of Legends as well, that's a case where people are generally happy with how cosmetic heavy that story is, because the game is they've made sure to draw the line in the sand where the game feels separate enough to the store.
Yeah.
Obviously they've tied it in together with what's it, Blue Essence is called now. Used to be called RP and IP, but it's that case where I think you're right. Just saying cash shops are bullshit is. It's that thing where it's. I don't want to say it's inevitable because that sounds bad, but it basically is inevitable. We're in this world where that's how companies work. It's the same as anything else when you're just going into a store and they're going to want you to buy more.
Yeah.
It's as long as they do it in a way that's kind of feels fair and reasonable enough, and it doesn't detract from the original experience.
Yeah,
which is sort of the case of if you're going to a shop, you're not going to get mad that they have yellow stickers with stuff on sale around the place because you're there anyway. Sort of bit of a weird comparison to make, but you kind of follow, I think.
Yeah, and I think with this as well, there's just some aspects beyond, the timing is obviously awful, but there's another aspect where it's just that bit of tier that most people will get. So I'm talking about the non-mythic version. Just really, people have wanted tier for so long, and the tier really does feel, without the mythic elements, it feels a bit more homogenized. The colors they showed off weren't super strong. So obviously it's going to feel bad. And, there's some people who have sort of posited, oh, but this was timed for months. It was a plan. Right, well, they're good. You definitely shouldn't be in business if that's what you think. Because, what is a plan? Well, it's just your series of operations, etc., 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 to achieve a goal. If the strategic landscape changes, but you don't change your plan, you're fucking stupid. And if you were in... Well, I mean, it's just that, right? We all know this. They say no plan survives contact with the enemy. That's pretty true. But there are plans that can change and shift and morph when that contact happens to result in a success. There's then plans that are rigid, that will just fail and fall over and catch fire, right? So that whole thing of, oh, it was a plan... I mean, that's just belligerently stupid, I think. It's very hard to have it stand up to logic. The only thing I would say is it is something that shows that the corporate sludge it's the corporate sludge that means that a plan cannot be agile enough to deal with shifting real world scenarios. I think the best startups and the best companies are the ones that know when to pivot. They know when to alter a plan. They know when to prioritize long-term over short-term, or maybe a case where they need to do a big short-term push. This is a case of a company not having that operational agility and that leading to them having bad results with their customers. So I think it's a pretty weak, explanation, not excuse, is the best that I would give it.
Yeah, I mean, I was talking on the news channel. We were talking about Rockstar and the GTA trilogy recently, and one of the things I brought up was like, how do you not have someone in the organization who has the, the desire and the capability to go, well, I'm going to make sure everything that goes out is okay. Like, why did no one hit the big red button on this going out? If they did think it was, a bad thing for optics or anything like that. And I guess that's a part of the operational agility. It's not even like, obviously operational agility is very, very important, but the idea of just, did no one look at the scheduled post to post these live and go, should we maybe think about this or try to stop it maybe?
Should we maybe not do this on the very same day that two of the industry's most important leaders are calling us out and all of the headlines are blasting our leadership?
Yeah.
It is crazy. It is crazy. I mean, if you wanted this to do better, wait till the new patch comes out, do a big humongo, everything event to try to get people in, but goddamn time it. But of course, that is not all, folks. It is time for the baby Murloc backpack. It's really nice. It's really cute. Yep. I do love how they, they do the new backpack thing, and, you've got to recruit a friend, you've got this, they're certainly making money out of it. Of course, you do get the Covenant ones too, but it's just that thing as always. Could you imagine being able to do 1 month of World of Warcraft content in order to earn this?
Wild.
Wouldn't that be crazy, everyone? Mm-hmm. See, that's actually how rewards used to work. Instead, now it's, ticking the box in some achievements that have a bunch of RNG like in Korthia, or it's, waiting on a Paragon box or something. Where's the old school reps and stuff? I don't know.
Well,
now, for $15, you will get some Murlocs. It's only $5 a Murloc because you get all three color variants. It is an absolute value. It's a value nuke. My God.
Might as well be free.
That's it. I mean, hopefully it's 3 separate items, so it does 3 different all the things entries. I mean, that would be absolutely poggers, aren't I? Right, gamers? Yes. So, anyway, look, it's just not really $15. I actually have this.
Yep.
Matt probably has it. Loads of you probably have it if you've been on the 6-month sub, because yes, the 6-month sub does get you that. So it's funny, I'm on the 6-month sub. I'm on it because I was on it.
Yeah.
Playing in around 9.1. Should really sort of hit the pause button on that. You don't need to be subbed to do PTR, and I don't think any of us are planning to do too much live gameplay right now. Wait, feck! Legion Time Walking.
No, because they've put Legion Time Walking the same time as the competitor MMORPG is releasing a new expansion.
So let's see, we've got 9.2 PTR and Walker Early Access and Legion Time Walking.
Yep.
Good, we need a lot of these then. But yeah, look, so this is $35 of microtransactions. Of course, one of them is tied into the 6-month sub. The 6-month sub that also has a bunch of other things and, all the Hearthstone packs and things in the friggin' universe. Mm-hmm. And look, as we said, it's just not a good look. There's also the Black Friday sale. And hey, they have every right to do a sale. We're not going to come out here and say, oh, you evil bastards doing a sale at Black Friday like every single other business on earth. It's more that it's just a funny thing of, the timing isn't super ideal. I mean, look, what I would say, you see this shit, delay this shit, my dudes. Yeah. Keep the Black Friday sale because fair enough.
Yeah,
that's one that you're going to be able to get through people pretty easily. Now, there is, I'm sorry to say, everyone, I've sold you all short. I've really screwed you over and messed you up because there is another store entry that we haven't talked about, Matt. And right on cue, little banner advert. Let's take it to the stars.
Yes, the Stargazers
Let's go,
Pack.
as they say, Matt. to the moon. Tell you one thing, Activision Blizzard stock ain't going to the moon right now.
Oh, but all its players are.
So for only $32.25, you can get the Stargazers Pack, which gives you that. It gives you Argy, the charity mount. Of course, charity mount that has expired its charitable donation period. And of course,
Celestial Steed.
that horse, that flying horse. Yeah, so you get those for $32. And hey, it's the sort of thing, I think the two of these, not going to be making that much money these days, but this is a pretty good way to be like, hey, everyone, $12, or $12, 25 over, it's a deal. Get some more purchases. So they're doing all of that. Now, there's a few things we can talk about as we jump on, from this one, actually, because I think it is important to do. One of the things that pisses me off about this, that, they broke my trust years ago. I haven't forgiven them for it, and they keep on doing it. And I sort of touched in this one, but I just want to be a bit more clear about it. And also, this is highly important because a new bit of information has entered this story, everyone. So let's go to the mounts. I wonder how much accidental advertising have we just done for them. But I want to go to the mounts, okay? And I'm going to call a few of them out.
Send them the Bellular.
That's it, yeah. I mean, hey, Blizz, cut me in this shit. No. So we're going to get the Sapphire Skyblazer. We're going to get the Vulpine Familiar. What else are we going to get?
Silverian Dreamer.
The Silverian Dreamer, which we're going to get the Fae Dragon.
Fae Dragon. The Iron Sky Reaver, technically.
The Silverian Dreamer. Where's the Sky Reaver?
There. Up, left.
Oh,
there you go.
got the Sky Reaver. That should indeed be most of them, I think.
I think the Sunworm Furline might technically also count, maybe, but I don't know.
It may count. That expansion hasn't came out yet, Matt. Yep. That's kind of the point. But I think this is extremely important because it's actually happened with the Sapphire Skyblazer now. Okay, so the Sapphire Skyblazer essentially is in patch 9.2. And it's in patch 9.2 in an extremely similar way to how the Silverian Dreamer is in patch 9.0. And that in itself is kind of interesting because the Sapphire Skyblazer, but a bit different, is an earnable mount in patch 9.2, meaning that I think for the first time you can basically get a recolor of a store mount in-game. Yeah. It ain't as fancy. It ain't as fancy, but something that can happen. So the Silverian Dreamer is here. This came out, I forget what patch, but it did come out in the Battle for Azeroth expansion, didn't it? Now,
I believe so.
Silverian Dreamer. So the thing about the Silverian Dreamer is if I go Silverian Dreamer Ardenweald, you will actually see it's a Veilwing.
Yes.
Now, there's going to be, this is just something to talk about the marketing copy with you, because I think we should do that. So you can see here, this store mount is just a native dragon to Ardenweald.
Yeah.
Now, of course, imagine if in World of Warcraft Classic, this doesn't make any sense because flying didn't exist in vanilla, but imagine if you were able to purchase on the store a Netherwing Drake in Classic, and then you find out there's a place called Netherwing in the next bloody expansion. Well, that very literally has happened here. So with these Veilwings, we could have had a wrap surrounding, we could have had all of those things, all of that great gameplay that we experienced with past reputations like Cloud Serpent, but no. Now what's funny is that a Veilwing, everyone, they are Feathered Dragon King, native to Ardenweald. Now that's very interesting because actually when I first learned about one of these, I was told that an artist in the magical city of Dalaran fell asleep with her brush and dreamed a painting of a beautiful feather dragon. Her artwork leapt from the page, and this was sleeping gently beside her. That's very interesting, considering that she accidentally summoned it from Ardenweald, isn't it? Interesting marketing copy, and an example of you being sold content from the next World of Warcraft expansion in the previous World of Warcraft expansion in a way that denies you content because you can't get a Veilwing mount in World of Warcraft without the store. Even though in past expansions, in the before milking everything era, you would have, absolutely. There is no clearer example than, of course, the one that I always go to, the Enchanted Fae Dragon. So the Enchanted Fae Dragon is, of course, the taxi mount that you'll have in Shadowmoon Valley and Warlords of Draenor. And if you go Fae Dragon... Sorry, not that. Is it the Dracorium? Yeah, the Dracorium. Here we go. Oh, there's a video from Noble from back in the day. Him going to visit the Dracorium. It's in this video anyway. Is that the Dracorium? Yeah, there it is. So this is actually where they're bred. Now again, if this was Mists of Pandaria, this would have been a reputation like Order of the Cloud Serpent. Instead, they did not make that content. They did not let you have one of these mounts. They put it on the in-game store instead. So it happened with the Fae Dragon. It happened with the Dreamer. It kind of happened with the Iron Sky Reaver. There's other Rylacs you can get in the game, but same thing pretty much happened. Now, let's take a look at the Vulpine Familiar. I mean, sort of, if you sort of compare him to Mr. Silvarian Dreamer,
yeah, it's very similar, of course.
you know, they're very similar. Similar color palette. You can see them getting along. So you just kind of think, feels a little bit iffy. Now, let's bring it to the modern day, everyone. Let's bring it to the modern day. And that's where we need the Sapphire Skyblazer. And I'm going to sort of go a little bit early. Now, how can I find this? Actually, Dakor gave us a table of contents. Oh, just the way that this is actually a mount in the new patch. They ripped.
It's right there.
What?
But just scroll down a little bit.
Oh.
Yep.
There we go. Mr. Deej is a speedy boy.
That was me.
Oh, that was you. Dang.
Yep, it's
well
the mod-adapted Raptora, it's called.
Yeah, now, everyone, this is, it's the same rig. When you actually see them, Wowhead, have, like, their sort of lineup. They are a bit different, right? Like, if I sort of zoom in there, you can see that there is, slight difference in the model. But basically, it's like the model is essentially the same.
Yeah.
The skeletons, all that stuff. This is the closest it's ever been to the store mount being a fancy recolor of an in-game obtainable mount. But here's the thing, everyone. This was sold to you before you knew that patch 9.2 existed. Now, this means that there's some people who probably bought or, did whatever to get this, whether they bought it or got it in the sub, who thought they were getting a cool, unique thing that wasn't going to be in-game otherwise. Now, there's versions of it that are in-game.
Yeah, they're getting a unique thing, but the uniqueness is toned down substantially because you can get the same, I think it's like technically going to be like a slightly prototypal version, but then colored for the mod because it's more adapted, etc.
Yeah. So that's basically what's going on.
Yep.
This is content that they made for patch 9.2. They pretty much repurposed it to sell it to you on the store.
Yep. And if you want a proper comparison, the images in Notion now there.
Oh, fantastic.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, highly, highly similar business. So look, that's just kind of what's going on. And you know what, Silvarian Dreamer, like that felt like a sort of big, cool, unique thing. What did we get in game? Well, we got sort of a redo of a Cloud Serpent, which is fine. I like the mount, but I mean, it's very hard to look at all of this and say that the monetization is, it's very hard to say it's not getting in the way of in-game content. And look, it could be the sort of thing where they just don't have the development time and resources to actually create those old school reps anymore for whatever reason, because they've evidently stopped doing it since Warlords of Draenor. But it does feel iffy, doesn't it, everyone? It does feel iffy.
Yeah, well, I see someone here saying, I don't understand. You're complaining that we can't get store mounts in game. Now you're complaining that we can get a similar one in game. It's about the order and how it feels to players. Mm-hmm. Because if you're selling something and then making it available in game later, then that will just betray people who bought it. Whereas if especially when that bucks the trend of it not being available in game, which is sort of what we've seen with the Fae Dragon, we've seen with the Skyblazer until now, of course.
Us pointing out a flaw is not necessarily us being 100% like advocating for a thing.
Yeah, of course.
This is basically saying they're screwing over the non-paying players in this way, and they're also screwing over the paying players in that way.
Yeah, so like
they're not mutually exclusive things.
Yeah, so I mean, if we were to have store mounts, then they could have done this a better way if we knew the Raptora was coming up or was made available, and then they're like, hey, here's the mount that you can get in game. But also, here's the cooler version on the store. I would still have an issue with that because the cooler version on the store is just kind of devaluing stuff a little bit. But that would be substantially more acceptable than the way they currently do it now.
And then, I go up to, is it Jet's tweet of, you then will have this issue. Oh, so you're saying that I get the sort of basic stuff in game to earn, but I have to earn with a good old swipe of the credit card?
Yeah.
And I know people are going to say, oh, transfer into BNet balance. We've been over that one many times before.
Yeah, I mean, for players, it's like I think a more fundamental thing of, so my money is worth more than my time and effort. okay, well then why am I playing your fucking game? Why am I not just going to work instead?
It's like, literally it is.
Yeah.
But if you make it feel that way, that's a big loss.
Yeah.
It's a big loss. So this is the sort of thing where basically the business side, marching on blindly has, once again, completely betrayed all the hard work of the World of Warcraft development team and, indeed for some of the players as well. This is pretty much the worst timing you could imagine for PR, given the reasons why Activision Blizzard are in the news. And essentially it just does show that big, slow corporate sludge is not conducive to good results for just about anyone involved. Because right now the players are losing, the staff are losing, and the investors are losing. So that seems great.
Who's winning?